Hi guys, it's BB. Welcome back to my channel, my beautiful monarch butterflies. I hope that all of you are having a lovely day. Today I'm doing junk journaling flip through of this little collection, I guess you could call it, of these sweet little journals. I used Jovi's kit from her Etsy called Masterboards and Vintage Photos. I had a lot of fun with it. As soon as I saw these images, I had pre-made some of these journals and I had yet not known what I was going to do with them, and they ended up being such a wonderful result. And be sure to check out Jovi. I am part of her design team, and I will say you get a lot for your buck, so be sure and check her out on Etsy. Again, that's at Creating with Jovi, and this kit is Masterboards and Vintage Photos. So you can see I used on the cover some of the images from her DigiKit and collaged with them, and then I did a cute little bow on each and every single one of these journals. You can see that they slightly vary just a little bit, not by much, but if by any chance you are interested in these journals, they will be listed up on my Poshmark until they are no longer available. So see here on the back, I also used some of her kit. And what I like about Masterboards is that you can always just tear them apart and incorporate them in so many ways. So it was a lot of fun to play with. This little cutie here, I've named this journal Allison. And on this cover, I went in with some corduroy as well as some upholstery fabric that I got at a yard sale. And then I decorated it with a little bit of charms and some vintage lace, some little eyelet lace, and they're all soft covers and they're so beautifully embellished on the inside. You can see I used a lace pocket there from some curtains and some vintage fabric and some Holly Hobby images, which I love Holly Hobby images. I think they're so cute. Again, here's part of Jovi's kit, and then I just attached a little phrase that says imagine. And you're going to see her kit all throughout. She collaged so beautifully. And here I made a wallpaper tag as well as her kit there displayed so pretty. And then I made a journaling card here. And you could see a piece of her collage there on the side. And then I had a play with her kit as well on the back. And then I did a little bit of, I keep wanting to call it plaster, but it's not plaster. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And then here you could see a little piece of her kit there as well with some font, and then a little flip out tag. Now this paper here is pretty old, so I had to enforce it with some washi tape just because it can be brittle once it's folded. So just to give you a heads up on this. And then again, some of her collaging again from her digital kit. Made a little file folder there. And again, I will say, like this first one, I did take my time a little bit doing the journaling flip through because I wanted it to be more thorough versus with the other two. When I do go to show y'all, they're not going to be as slow as this one, so it's going to go a little bit faster. As I was creating these journals, it's almost like if I was almost inventing like a story for them in my head. And it's like I grew a little bit attached to thinking like, what would their journal look like, being that this is them? And just knowing that they're like a trio of women, I thought was so sweet. So I'm really glad that Jovi had some of those images, just seeing vintage photos. Here's her kit again. As a side pocket. Just the images that Jovi picked and the time that she took to make it, I think it turned out so stunning and I couldn't wait to work with it. And I think the fact that I was able to make 3 journals out of one DigiKit says a lot. Like her kit just kept giving and giving and giving, which I think you guys would also enjoy it. Here I did a little bit of stamping and used some of my washi tape, and you can see her kit there with the very faint flower. And it's almost like this particular page on her kit is a little more faint, but it's still very pretty. Here I created like a little flip tag with some wallpaper. Those first two pieces are wallpaper, some of my handmade paper that I made, and then some paper here, some graph paper, and then here again wallpaper, and then faux handmade paper as well, but I didn't make that one. And then here's another wallpaper pocket, and I love the border. It just embellishes that pocket so very nicely. And then again, some of the remnants of the wallpaper I used to embellish this journaling card. And then here is some tea-dyed paper, very faint as well, and then her kit again. And then I just glued on like a little, I guess like a poem, or I guess like inspirational, quotes and stuff. And then here again I went with her kit once again, and then I made faux stamps out of some of the scraps from her kit, backed it onto some tea-dyed paper, and then did some of my stitching. It's not a BB journal without stitching. I feel like every time that I stitch in a journal, that's like one of my favorite parts about making the journals, for me at least. I think it's like pretty much a signature now at this point. And then here are some journaling pages, and then again her little faux stamp that I created using some stamps of my own and the scraps from her kit. And then I decided to include this little pocket, and I was gifted that paper that I just touched from some Happy Mail, and I think that also added a nice touch to the journals. Here I included some tickets, again another little faux stamp that I created from her kit, I guess like little notepad paper, and then you could use that label for whatever you'd like. And again here I created a large flip out tag, and again there's the back of that paper, very faint colors, but I think it all goes together seamlessly. I added a little ticket there, a little vellum ticket, and inside you can incorporate pictures or favorite quotes, maybe Bible verses, images, maybe a song, one of your favorite songs. And then today, that says today I affirm, and then you can write what you want, kind of like little prompts and stuff. This is a pocket, so you could put some secret journaling in there if you'd like. And then some more journaling spaces. I really like the images of that large book because once folded in half, they make for great pockets. And then this tag that I'm holding here, I also did again like some of that plaster. I forget what to call it, but I added some sentiments. And then on the back, again, some poems. And I think it turned out nicely. I kind of faded out the reds with some of that plaster. And then here is the center of our journal, and then some of our little cute charms, which I think add a wonderful touch to our journal. And they sound so nicely whenever they tinkle together. They're so cute. And then again, here's another pocket for your journal. You could also journal on that if you want to collage. And then I incorporated some more goodies in there for you. You could actually collage on that as well. And then here's the other side of that little flip out page. You could do some more journaling there. And I am so in love with this vellum paper. It's so gorgeous. And then her kit once again as a belly band, and I really like the fact that she incorporated fabrics into her kit. I just think it adds like beautiful texture to the digi kits. And then here is some of my own, I guess like you could actually ship that out if you wanted to. Grab a little message, add a little stamp to it, and it's good to go. It's very, very cute. A sweet little mini doily there. It's so precious. And then some more of those book pages that I thrifted not too long ago. And then some tea-dyed paper, and then again with our wallpaper pocket. I feel like I hadn't made wallpaper pockets in a while, and I remember that I needed to work with my stash on that too, and I think it just went nicely with this journal. and they make for really good sturdy pages. Although simple, like they look like simple journals, but I'll tell you what, you guys, it took a lot of time to make all 3 of them, because the same action you take with the first one, you have to do with the same exact thing for the other ones. And so it does become repetitive because you're doing it over and over and over again several times. So I was like, well, these are going to be more on the simple naked side, but still it does take time to make the same journal, copying and pasting it, you know. But I think they came together so stinking cute, and I just love that in my own head I've created like their own little story, and I think it's precious. I've grown attached to each and every single one of these journals that I have created, all because I see their faces and I can just imagine their own personalities. Okay, so this one is a gladiolus. I added from Jovi's kit onto this paint swatch, each journal a flower, like a designated flower, and I think that is so cute. Here are some flowers that I pressed myself, and then I added some stationery here, and I love the flowers on it. I think it goes really good with this journal. And then again, I wish I would have thought to get closer looks up on these Holly Hobby pages, because they talk about friendship, and I could just imagine them being friends. Like, although they possibly go to different schools, I was like, what if they actually met? Like, I feel like they would have become really, really good friends. I personally didn't want to glue down the topper for the journal, but if you want to, you can, although it does have a pocket in the back, so just keep that in mind. And then here we have Eleanor. She's the oldest one of the girls, but it also reminded me that back in the day, it didn't matter like what age you were in the school together. So that's kind of like what I had in mind too whenever I started creating them. So it just kind of it just made me think like, dang, like they possibly could all go to school together, and didn't matter what age they were. So I thought that was really sweet. I could picture them like in a schoolhouse and stuff. So their stories could go either way, or like if you end up with this journal, like you could create a story for them if you wanted to. Here again, you can see I'm kind of speeding it up a little bit because it's just all gonna be almost the same. I had a lot of fun playing with my stamps too, with her masterboards, with Jovi's masterboards, because you can make all kinds of stuff with them: belly bands, pockets, tags, you name it. I mean, I feel like I had to play with almost each and every single piece of ephemera. So with Eleanor, you can kind of see that her file folder varied in color, because the other ones are going to be yellow, but hers was like a beautiful green, just because like I feel like hers was more on the mature side, being that she's a little bit older. So that's what came to mind as I was creating hers. I wanted for her colors to be a little bit more mature as I was making her journal. And then here again, I had a little fun playing with my stamps, my washies, and again, there's Jovi's kit. You can see very faint like texture on there, which is nice. But I'm really glad that the camera showed through on it, because I wanted you guys to know that it's not just a blank piece of paper. And I'm sure I probably could have adjusted it on my printer, but I don't know how to do that just yet. So here's another part of her masterboard on the front, and then again I just put on that little quote or poem, and then here again is her digi-kit. I did some stamping and a faux stamp, backed it up to some tea-dyed paper. And I recently tea-dyed some more paper since it's been super hot here in New Mexico, and I wanted to go a little bit darker because I was more timid when I first had made those. These are like the first tea-dyed papers I had ever made, so I finally ran out, because the first time I ever made it, I guess I went crazy and I made a bunch, and so it put it off for me to not want to tea dye paper for a good while. And so now that I did it, now I knew going into it not to do so much. Probably should have, just because it lasts longer. But yeah, this time I went a little bit darker with my pages, unlike my old tea dye papers. So those are going to be fun to incorporate into future journals. And then here's my tag again with some quotes or sentiments, sorry. And then I added a little bit of piece of fabric at the top for added texture. Here are our little charms. They're so cute. And while I was like filming it, I know that I didn't show the sound of it here because my husband was playing the TV in the background and I didn't want it to pick up on that. But I couldn't help but like jingle them together. I think it something just it gives like a good feeling when you get to hear specific sounds, like even whenever you're cutting fabric with scissors, you know, when you want to go get like maybe a fat quarter cut or a whole yard cut, and just the way the scissors sound against the table whilst you're cutting, like that too is such an awesome sound to me. I love it. Or like when you're distressing your pages, like very distinct sounds like that to me are like almost ASMR-ish. So I wish I could have showed y'all a little bit about that, but I had to sacrifice that just for the sake of my husband's TV being turned on. So we're nearing the end of this journaling flip through here, and then we'll go ahead and get started on the next one, and that'll be the last one. Although I feel like the journaling flip throughs are going so much faster than what it took to make them, honestly. But on Eleanor's, I went in with I did her cover using some of the fabric that my sweet friend Dale over at Not Too Shabby Chic had sent me. So here Eleanor's got a carnation, super pretty. And then yeah, so the fabric that Dale gave me, it has like glittery bits in it and it's so gorgeous, and I was like, yeah, definitely more on the mature side. And here this lady sitting with her bare feet in the grass, it almost looks like she's reading a letter, which I was like, that looks like Eleanor. It's gonna go in her journal. And then I did like a crocheted embellishment across the cover as well on Eleanor's, and then we're back to kind of what we saw with the first journal. Oh my gosh, I forgot her name for a second. Allison. And then here again we have our little bow. Hers is like a deep burgundy, so pretty, so cute. And then here we have Bridget, sweet little brunette Bridget. She's so cute. I fell in love with their faces. I fell in love with their little faces. Something about like little kids, and she's a little young one. And again, look at the Holly Hoppy images that I put within their books. Like, I try to match them up as best as I could, you know, keeping them in mind and, you know, seeing them as little girls. And then here again, Jovi's little collage. So adorable. I think it came together so nicely, and I love the green tones within the journal. And then here the peachy tones within this with the like, you know, soft yellows. Chef's kiss. It's cute. I love it. Again, just going through it a lot more quicker because it's very repetitive and I don't want to keep you guys here forever. I know you guys got other things to do. And then here's a little side pocket with Jovi's kit, and I just went in with a little bit of washi. There's a little teapot, so cute. And then here we've got again part of her kit on the back, and I stamped it with a faux postcard. Huge stamp. It's very pretty. Got it from Hobby Lobby. And then again our wallpaper pocket with our scalloped edge there. Very pretty. I think it makes that blue just kind of pop. Makes it look so nice. Again, her kit there, and then I went in with a little bit of washi again. I was going crazy with washis and stamping. Masterboards are so versatile, which I love. I was like, almost like, there was like a lot of ideas to do with your masterboards, and I basically used almost all of her kit. And then here again is that book page that was given to in Happy Mail, and then our little pocket filled with the goodies here that didn't want to come out. I was like, I know there's more in there, just can't seem to get it all. And then her little faux stamp that I used from her scraps. Be sure and let me know in the comments which one of these journals was your favorite, or who did you feel the most connected to? Like, who were you most drawn to? I feel like Bridget, I feel like I connected with her a lot when making these journals. And then here again, there's one of the little tags that I made, little duplicate tags with the plaid. And then here I am showing you guys again like little charms. The charms varied too. I didn't have, I try to keep them as similar as I possibly could, of course, but sometimes you run out of stuff if you've got like 3 of the same thing. But I still think it looks really, really nice. Our vellum sheet, and then again her kit as a belly band. Love the flowers. I think I am a sucker for flowers. They're so pretty. And here again we've got some more of those book pages with quotes and stuff, poems. Got some little scrapbooking paper there, some stationery. And then coming up on the Claude Monet images here, the paintings. They're so beautiful, which I thought were perfect for this journal. Nearing the end of this video, you guys, I want to thank you so much for clicking on this video and having watched it. And if you take the time to comment, thank you so very much. And then for sharing your thoughts as well. Yeah, I just hope you guys enjoyed it. Here Bridget got her orchid. Adorable. But yeah, thanks so very much, you guys. I hope y'all have a lovely rest of y'all's day. Y'all have a good weekend, and y'all please take care, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.